Thank you everyone for joining JiraCon 22 and tuning into the server to cloud migration, picking Trundle's brain here. We'll start off with quick introductions and just a quick recap. If you haven't, attended all the sessions on day one of Jira 22, now mind you can always go back and watch them on demand. So I hope you guys are having a good time so far on day two. So as far as today's sessions are concerned, me along with my colleagues will try to kind of share some of the learnings and experiences that we had gained over last several years in migrating Atlassian server instances to cloud. Myself, Manohar Goli, and I'm CTO and the co-founder at Trundl. Over to you, Nitish.
Hi all, thank you for joining today's session. I'm Nitish Kamal. I'm also one of the co-founders at Trundl, and I'm the director for managed services. And there is a division called migration services that falls under managed services, and we handle all migrations at Trundl. Divya.
Hello everyone, this is Divya Ranganathan. I'm an Atlassian lead engineer managing migration services at Trundl.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you, Nitish. We can just go quickly check out the agenda for today. Nitish. All right, so we want to just keep it simple. We want to share as much as our learnings as possible. But before we just get to that, we also want to make sure that for a lot of companies who are still kind of stuck to the idea of being on server, have not really thought about going to the cloud. We want to kind of just give you a quick sense of what awesomeness is there out on the cloud, and also is the cloud platform right for you? And if it's not, what are the options? And then also shed some light on the timelines. How are the timelines stacking up against the big announcement that Atlassian has made a year and a half ago, and then also share some of the secret ingredients that Trundle has been kind of brewing to take all of our customers from server to cloud. And then Divya and Nitish will combinedly kind of share all the approaches that we have found very useful, and the methods that you need to be mindful, and also the limitations as far as the cloud migration is concerned, because it is very important that you understand those alligator pits so that you wouldn't repeat any of those mistakes. All right, Nitish. All right, so just to start off with Atlassian Cloud overview. Atlassian has just launched its very first cloud offering back in 2011. It's almost more than a decade, and it has come a long way. And for the last few years, Atlassian has been positioning itself as far more cloud first approach company than giving those behind the firewall applications to its customers. So with that said, Atlassian has been continuously working on making a lot of improvements. That means a lot of investments, time, and R&D is going into these products. What that brings to the table for the customers, they want to make sure that these products are always on. That means you never have to worry about these applications going down and hampering your productivity across the board. And they want to just continuously keep giving those new features to you, and also make sure that there are no those regular security issues that keeps cropping up that will take up a ton of your IT's time, and also kind of impact your business continuity. That said, some of those high level highlights are built-in security, privacy, compliance, and reliability is all comes with these cloud products. And obviously, if it's not running on your local servers, it's not running on your data centers, it means reduced cost of operation, and then there's no need to do the maintenance. There is no hardware cost associated with it. It's all bundled down into a simple per user costing, which makes it very easy for the IT teams to kind of manage these apps for their the rest of the team. And obviously, with better collaboration, it's on browser and everything, right? So it comes with a whole lot of things, and obviously, the pricing is a big factor. If you have not joined, the licensing call that was done by Jitesh earlier, just to watch out for those recording. You will be able to find a lot of those insights out there. Nitish, next. So, I mean, again, with that said, there are so many factors, that could probably, are right for, many people. And also it's very important that, you need to understand some of those very critical elements. We picked these four again, to kind of highlight and say, what you need to kind of stack up your, thoughts around, moving to cloud or uses the cloud platform, right? So, if you've been managing these applications, like particularly Jira, Confluence, and Bitbucket on your, servers or behind the firewall, you understand the pain, it takes to kind of, keep up with the, upgrades, because without, latest versions, latest version of the software running on your server, you wouldn't get the latest features, all the latest and greatest updates that Atlassian is releasing on a day-to-day basis. So, with cloud, you can totally eliminate that. That means, no cost involved in maintaining, no need to kind of, own it internally. And, you just keep getting all the features just coming to you, and you can just start adapting to those features. And also, there is no need to kind of, you must have often seen in the past that, a lot of these security concerns are creeping up, DDoS, and, many of those, in the last few years. And then you need to kind of completely go away with that particular worry, because Atlassian has a huge team of experts working round the clock to make sure that, these applications are foolproof as much as, it can get. And, all the real-time security updates are just, getting added to your cloud version. And also, with globally distributed teams, now we want to make sure that everybody is getting access to these applications at their fingertips. And, we don't want our employees and, the customers to sign into your VPN, go through, additional hoops to kind of, get to these applications, because at the end of the day, these applications are meant to allow you to work freely, and that workflow should be so seamless that they should not be worried about we got to probably do another quick 3 or 4 clicks and just look at your phone to just get a pin, grab a pin, and then just key in that before you get to the actual application. So with the SaaS product, with the cloud products, your customers or your internal employees, external customers can easily access these tools on browser, on the mobile app, particularly it makes it very easy to collaborate, right? That means with all these additional overheads going away, you are allowing your employees and your customers to focus on accelerating what they are doing in a much more better way. That means, more digital transformation, faster enabling, all the agility that you want to kind of, infuse into your business functionalities and, whatnot. So considering all these things, you could just always stack up, these aspects and see whether they're not. But still, in spite of all that awesomeness, you still might be forced to kind of, stay back on-prem. The reason, certain industries, particularly like, healthcare, financials, where you have a lot of PHI, PII data that's being transacted, as part of these tools. And, the regulatory bodies are not happy with, how, the data is being sitting on somebody else's platform, or, somebody might kind of just get hands on these PHI, PII data, which they consider is like very, very sensitive in its nature. So that if you are in one of those particular industries, and you're forced to kind of comply to those highly regulated environments, so you cannot kind of go to the cloud right away. And Atlassian is very, very, very much invested in just making sure that these products are compliant to all of these things. And largely they've been trying to bring these under these guidance compliances. But yeah, there's still a long way to go, I would say. And we are also working closely with our customers to kind of take those feedbacks to Atlassian, and we are hoping that would happen soon. And again, for data privacy, it's for a lot of companies, it's a mandated to kind of keep the data behind the firewall, and it has to be within the realms of their own, environments, which are like, guarded by, very strict rules and, whatnot. So that means, is that an end of the world for you guys, since Atlassian has kind of announced this server sunsetting? No, Atlassian still continues to kind of keep the data center option open for you guys, so you can leverage the data center and continue to maintain your instances on prem behind the firewall. Just trying to kind of make sure that you are meeting with all those compliances. But again, there is still the price to pay for this. All the overhead is still on the IT to kind of maintain these products. Nitish? So that's it. I'll hand it over to Nitish to kind of take it over from here and help you guys with the timeline.
Thank you, Manohar, for the wonderful overview of cloud. So those of you who are still using server, you might be already aware that Atlassian has decided to sunset all Atlassian server products. So this announcement was made 1.5 years ago, and in the beginning of 2021, Atlassian went ahead and stopped selling new licenses, and also developing new features for any of their server products. So the major change that is going to happen next year is, they will stop any new app sales on February 15, 2023. That is going to be a major change, and by February 15, 2024, any kind of support that is being provided by Atlassian for server products will not be available. That means, you can still use your product because Atlassian server licenses are perpetual, but you end up losing out on version upgrades, support from Atlassian, and also, fallback in terms of the latest features, and end up using a legacy mode. So we highly recommend you to migrate over to cloud, and if you can start the process immediately, that would help you in kind of also getting some additional loyalty bonus from Atlassian as an incentive for considering their cloud products. Now, at Trundl, we are experts in performing server to cloud migrations for all the Atlassian products. We've done it, close to 100 times. And the most obvious question that we get is, how do you guys easily manage to perform a migration when, we try doing it internally? So they ask, what is the secret ingredient for a successful migration? Well, it's a very tricky question, but answer is plain and simple. There is no secret ingredient. Every migration is complex. Every migration is a different beast. You need to tackle it in different methods. And the most common things that you can follow to migrate from server products to cloud successfully is following a 3-step approach in terms of your migration strategy. The first phase is basically known as discovery. So discovery is the phase where you do all the planning. It is basically one of the most important stages of the migration. And you can basically take a look at your size in terms of the server product, and decide whether you can take a phased approach or a lift and shift approach. Parallelly, you can also raise a move ticket with Atlassian, because Atlassian is pushing all their customers to migrate over to cloud, and there is a dedicated team who works with you to ensure that you are having a seamless migration. This is something that you can make use of anytime, because having extra hands to support you when you are making this big change is really critical. As soon as you raise a move ticket, you will start engaging with the cloud migration manager and a set of engineers who will help you with the planning, the testing, and on a production migration. They will even be on standby to ensure that any bug or any roadblocks are addressed on the D-Day. So along with raising a move ticket, there are certain factors that you need to consider. One is, if your company is somebody who kind of works 24/7 on a yearly basis without any break, you can't have downtime. So you need to kind of understand what is the best approach in order for you to perform this migration successfully. And along with that, one of the major factors in a migration is the cost and licensing. So companies might be just dealing with shoestring budgets when they are performing, cloud migration. So Atlassian is flexible with their, licensing program. There are different platforms that is available on cloud, like it starts with your free platform, then you have a standard platform and premium, and for the big fishes, enterprise platform. So enterprise and premium are the ones with a lot of additional built-in functionalities that you get. For instance, if you're going with JSM Enterprise, you get asset management, insight, which is bundled with JSM Premium. Opsgenie is also added there. And for Jira Software Premium, you have an option to basically make use of additional features like advanced roadmap, which is a separate add-on on server and data center. Similarly, for Jira Work Management, you have plans, forms, which is basically a really good functionality. And automation for Jira is something that you get with all the premium Jira products. For Confluence, you get unlimited storage. So these things are something that you need to consider. And along with that, there is a difference in support that you get from Atlassian. If you are a premium customer, you get priority support, and if you are an enterprise customer, you get premium support. So these are important factors. And if you are a company who prefers having sandbox instances, you can only get it with premium and enterprise versions. The most important part of discovery, according to us, is basically document everything that you are planning to do, and make separate notes for the risk and also the additional features that you're getting, or the different features that you're getting, because cloud platform is completely different from your server platform. So you need to kind of make a list of all the features that are different to ensure that your customers are not surprised when you're making the move. And the second phase is the testing. At Trundl, we identify it as user acceptance testing, because the end phase of this is getting a sign-off from your users. So this is the most important phase of your migration. You need to basically, spend a lot of time in testing to ensure that you are getting a successful production migration. So testing can be divided into different sections. The first one is to enable cloud migration trials. Atlassian will provide free instances for you to test. You can always reach out to Atlassian directly or reach out to a partner like Trundl, who will ensure that you are getting cloud instances for your test migration. And the second part is basically Atlassian Access integration with your cloud products and your IDPs like Microsoft Azure, Okta, or G Suite. So you need to keep in mind that unlike server or data center, you cannot directly integrate your Atlassian products like Jira, Confluence, or Bitbucket with your Active Directory or LDAP, or even link it with an IDP. It's not a built-in functionality. You need to go for this product called Atlassian Access and have a paid version of the product to enable features like single sign-on, dual-factor authentication, and also additional features like password strength and other things. So it is a really good tool if you are focusing on, how you can control your user access. The third point is data and user cleanup. So when you perform a migration, you need to make sure that you are not migrating unwanted content over to cloud. So before you perform the migration, do a thorough cleanup, and this is something that can be done during the migration, a test migration. Data migration includes cleaning up unwanted custom fields, workflow screens, and also projects. Whereas the user cleanup is really important to identify who are the ones who kind of don't access your instance on a regular basis. And you can kind of save those licenses and move over people who are really active on your instance. Then the next point is add-on compatibility and testing. This is an important factor for you to kind of decide what is the right platform. Sometimes you are relying a lot on add-ons, especially on server, and also additional things like server-side scripts. So products like Adaptive Script Runner is different on cloud. You tend to lose functionalities like behavior, which is an inbuilt feature of the server and data center variant of script runner, and on cloud you don't get those functionalities. So you need to identify these kind of important changes on cloud and plan your work accordingly and ensure that you are performing a add-on migration along with your test migration. Then, as I mentioned earlier, you need to make use of sandbox instances and perform test migrations to kind of build a successful runbook, which is the most important aspect of your testing. You need to document everything that you're doing. Every step that you're going to perform on the production migration day should be documented, and you also need to track the time required to perform each operation. So this is very important. If you have a successful runbook, 80% of your migration would be completed, and you need to just focus on performing your production migration on a weekend. So at Trundle, we only perform migrations during weekends. We prefer to start the activity on a Friday evening after business hours and perform the migration. We don't perform migrations where there is a downtime which is required, but to avoid any incremental data added to your cloud or your server instance while the migration is happening in the weekend, we convert all the Atlassian server products into read-only mode during those 2 to 3 days. This enables us to migrate content successfully without any additional content added on the server. Users don't lose out on functionalities like viewing their issues, comments, spaces, projects, or attachments or repositories. The only thing that they can't do is add new content on any of the Atlassian server product. So after your production migration, if you're using some of the migration assistant tools, you tend to lose out on some functionalities like some custom field value didn't get linked with your issue, or some advanced workflow setting like post functions, validators, and conditions along with triggers and properties didn't get putted over. So you need to rebuild these things on your cloud instance as a post migration activity. And once you are done with every post migration activity, perform really detailed validation and testing on the cloud instance to ensure that there are no surprises when you open up the instance to your broader users. By Sunday, you should finish all the testing so that any fixes that are required can be performed in the weekend itself. And by Monday morning, you're good to go. So that is the best approach that you need to follow. If you're following these 3 phases in a very detailed and dedicated manner, the possibility of failure during a migration window is very less. I will let Divya talk about the migration approaches and explain what are the things that are available on your Atlassian server products.
Yeah, thanks, Nitish. So till now we were seeing about how we can perform a migration, but I'll explain you how we can actually work on migrating your data from server to cloud. So if you take, currently we have 3 migration tools that are currently being used for migrations. The first one is the Cloud Migration Assistance. The second one is Cloud Site Import. And the third one is CSV Import. If you take the CSV Import, this method was earlier used, and currently it is being only used for data patch-up and incremental migration approaches, because the manual effort that is required in CSV import is more, and it is likely to cause more errors. The next approach is this cloud site import. This was also used for several migrations before the migration assistants were developed. Cloud site import is currently not being suggested by Atlassian, and they have deprecated the product. Now it is only being used only for instances for users above 1,000 in your instance. So the only suggested method that is the only suggested method of Atlassian is to use cloud migration assistance. These are the tools that are developed by Atlassians recently. They help us in migrating all your data from a server or a DC instance to a cloud instance. And in Jira, if you see, there is another variation of assistant that is being developed. It is also installed on the Jira cloud instances, which will help us to migrate data from a cloud instance to another cloud instance. So while talking about these migration assistants, we have different types of migration assistants that are specific to every product. The first one is Jira Cloud Migration Assistant. We call it as JCMA. And the second one is Confluence Cloud Migration Assistant. We call it as CCMA. And the third one is Bitbucket Cloud Migration Assistant, which is installed on Bitbucket. We call it as BCMA. So all these migration assistants are really helpful in migrating our entire data from server or DC instances to cloud instance. And as I told you, there is a variation in JCMA that is installed only in cloud instances. That variation assistant will allow us to migrate data from a cloud instance to another cloud instance. So we can use it for cloud merger projects. When we are talking about these migration assistants will also provide us different capabilities in analyzing our entire instance. While using all these three migration assistants, we will have three phases in migrating your content from the DC or server instance to a cloud instance. The first one is app migration. The second one is user migration. And the third one is the project data migration. In the first phase of add-on migration, you will be all these migration assistants will provide us a capability to see what are the current add-ons that are present in your server instance, and will that add-ons be compatible on your cloud instance, and if they are compatible, how can you migrate your data from your server instance to cloud instance. Talking about apps, we don't see many of our apps being ported over to cloud instance, so ultimately it should be we'll have to recreate them after we migrate it to cloud. The next phase is user migration. User migration also provides a capability to see how many invalid user accounts are there, how many duplicate user accounts are there. Based on this identification, you can make changes on your server and DC instance and get your data ported over to cloud. So the third phase is project data migration. In project data migration, everything, all your data on your cloud DC or server instance, along with attachments, will be ported over to the cloud. While talking all about migrations, we will have to keep in mind about the limitations that comes along with these assistants, and when we move to cloud instance. The first one is that in your server instance, you will be the unique identifier will be your username, but whereas in your cloud, it will be the unique identifier will be your email address. So in server, you would have created a user accounts without an email, but those accounts only if you add an email address, only then it will be ported over to the cloud instance. The next one is, as I mentioned before, it is the difference in add-on compatibility, and some of the features of every add-ons will not be coming over to cloud. This is because there are differences between both server and cloud API, and all the marketplace add-ons, vendors are also trying to provide us an automated path, and still all those are being developed. Currently, we have automated path for certain number of add-ons. So for all those add-ons, JCMA itself will be porting over the data. But for the ones which the add-on compatibility path is not available, we will have to do it after we migrated to the cloud instance. And then when you use JCMA, there is a limitation where you cannot migrate filters, boards, and dashboards. So in order to do that, we will have to add a new feature flag to Jira and then only migrate it. So while we are adding these feature flags, we should also take in mind that it also requires some cleanup on your server instances, because in server instances, all invalid user accounts might have filters and dashboards, but those filters and dashboards will not be ported over to Jira. So either you will have to change the owner name, or you will have to leave those filter back in your server and then only migrate. The next one, the next limitation is that you see a wide difference between server and cloud user management. In server, there are only two groups with which you will be managing your administration. The one is the Jira administrators group and the Jira system administrators group. But whereas in cloud, you have different groups like the site admins. There is a feature called the trusted user. You have product access. So we generally recommend all our customers to have a look at the cloud instance, plan their user management before we move it to production. So on the production day, they just go pick the groups and put it in the right place and they start the work. The next thing is, the next limitation will be when we are actually performing the migration. When we are performing any Confluence or Bitbucket migration, and suppose we see any errors, we don't get a detailed log of what the error is. So we will have to either take a support zip and analyze the logs, or just raise a ticket with Atlassian, and they ultimately ask us for a support zip. So it takes a lot of time. But these error logs are present on JCMA, which is really helpful for us to analyze if there are any errors and fix it. The next limitation will be that in your cloud site, you cannot enable SSO without your active Atlassian Access subscription. Only with the Atlassian Access subscription, you can enable your user provisioning and SSO, unlike your server instance. So I think, yeah, we have all done with our presentation today. So you customers were asking us about about an ingredient to have a successful migration, and hope via this webinar we have given you a recipe. So yeah, please put your questions in the chat and we'll be happy to answer that.
Thank you so much for the detailed overview, Divya. So as you know, we are done with the session and we are open to take any questions that you have. And just wanted to let you know that if you don't recall the questions or concerns that you have in terms of migration, we are also available at the Trundl virtual booth. You can always set up a one-on-one with us or send an email to our email IDs, and we'll ensure that we are responding to you. Any questions?
Yes. Is there any chance that we may lose data during migration? If so, how can we maintain data content?
Sorry, can you please come again?
Yeah, Nitish. Is there any chance that we may lose during migration? If so, how can we maintain data content?
Yeah, the question, I mean, it's a good question. So in terms of data, you don't lose content like your issues, your attachments and other things, but sometimes you end up losing some functionalities related to add-ons, or, content built on your, on your issues or projects. Like, an agile board, which is a private one, which was not shared with anybody, or as as an admin, you might not be able to recover some private filters or dashboards with inactive users. So other than that, you can migrate pretty much everything as long as that functionality is available on cloud. So the data migration is pretty consistent, and you don't tend to lose out on a lot of things while migrating from a server product to cloud.
Yeah. Thank you, Nitish.
Nitish, while the rest of the audience, answer question. Okay, there is one question from Naveen. Would you please share server data center to cloud migration document?
Yes, if you can send us an email, we can share the details so that you can refer it and move forward with the migration.
Then Naveen, you can find our emails right on the screen. It is manohar@trundle.com or nitish@trundle.com, divya.r@trundle.com. And while the rest of the attendees add their questions or type in their questions, Nitish, would you like to kind of share, top 2 or 3 critical issues that you might have faced in last 4 to 5 migrations that you guys have done?
Yeah. So an important topic that I need to talk to you about is if you're using third-party add-ons and if you don't have, adequate support while performing the migration, you might end up in a situation where you lose out on content, especially if you're using tools like X-Ray. So make sure that you're being proactive and you reach out to the vendor along with the Atlassian support or the migration support team even before you conduct a migration, and request them to be available if you run into any issues while performing the migration. And according to Atlassian's policies, if a vendor is participating in the cloud migration, or if they are having the cloud migration assistance tag when you open Atlassian Marketplace, they are bound to follow certain support regulations that Atlassian has recommended. So work with them to ensure that this is being done. And also in terms of licensing, you need to make sure that you procure the licenses before your production migration date so that you don't lose out on some functionalities like number of outgoing emails that you can send from a trial version or non-paid version of products like Jira. So these are things that you need to keep in mind. And also in terms of differences of add-ons, I had spoken about adaptive script runner, not having behavior functionalities on cloud. So you need to consider workarounds for that. And look at other marketplace vendors who offer similar functionalities and move forward. So these are some things that we kind of dealt with during some of the latest migrations. But as I mentioned earlier, every migration is different. You get to learn something new from each and every migration.
Thank you, Nitish.
I also wanted to let you know that we are not done yet. There are a lot of sessions, scheduled later today. In fact, I will be talking about asset management functionality in Jira Service Management Premium. And this is going to be a topic about Insight Asset Management product that is basically bundled with JSM Cloud Premium. It's going to be a really interesting topic, so I hope that you guys can join that session. There are also other sessions about manage continuous testing projects effectively with Qmetry. Qmetry is one of the top add-ons when it comes to testing, and it would be presented by Rupal there. So please do join these sessions. You can also join sessions about DevOps practices and potential to use DevOps for highly regulated teams. This session is going to be conducted by Reena Nar. There is also an amazing session that is going to be conducted later today. This is about how to automate Jira to increase efficiency. So we had spoken about different platforms of Atlassian Cloud or Jira Cloud, like Jira Premium Enterprise and Standard. So automation is a functionality. Unlimited automation is something that you get with Enterprise version. Limited automation is available on Standard, and for Premium you get 1,000 cross functional automations for multiple projects. If you create automations within a project, then that is free. So you need to definitely attend that session, because this is a use case where we kind of created multiple automations to reduce the amount of work that is being done on Jira and have a more efficient method to perform your day-to-day tasks with less human interference. So please do attend.
Nitish, we have one more minute left to end the session. Any last minute comments? Any more questions? Feel free to just connect with us later on at Trundl booth. We are happy to kind of help you guys with anyone. We can just set up one-on-ones to talk about your specific use case. Divya and Nitish would be very happy to kind of shed some light on specific use cases that you might have as well.
Guys, there are 2 more sessions. Agile maturity and metrics. This is conducted by Ritika Singh. So if you are planning to make use of Jira software, then that's going to be a really useful session. And there is another topic related to Jira software, which is Shape the Future of Jira Software, conducted by Brian. Just because this is the second day and JiraCon is ending doesn't mean that you lose out on content. All the sessions that you couldn't attend or that you have attended are available or will be available on demand. You can still use your JiraCon credentials to access that content anytime for the next few months. And make use of that. I'm pretty sure you wanted to kind of attend certain interesting sessions, and due to the packed schedule, you might have missed out on certain events. So make sure that you are accessing JiraCon website after day 2 and go through sessions as soon as it is uploaded. Make use of the on-demand functionality, and you have our contact details. Reach out to us anytime. We will ensure adequate support to perform any kind of Atlassian activity. So I think we're good. If you don't have any last minute questions, we can end the session.
Thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone. Bye.